Hello my friends and welcome to this video today. So every nature photographer who loves to travel and especially loves to travel on a budget really knows about the struggles of bringing all your gear and all your stuff on airplanes, for example, because most airline fares do not include a lot of luggage, especially here in the European Union, but I think it's similar in the US. You have very strict luggage sizes and weight restrictions as well. So in this video I want to show you some tips and tricks how you can optimize your packing game and how to fit everything that you need inside a backpack, for example, that you can bring as a carry-on on an airplane. So stay tuned and let's go with this video. So all the gear that I talk about is optimized for my needs and for nature and landscape photography, because that is what I do the most when I'm outside and want to take pictures. No matter what you want to photograph, and even if you are into nature and landscape photography but do different stuff, everyone is a little bit different when it comes to what they need outside in the fields when they are shooting and what they might not need. But nonetheless, I think this video can be adapted to pretty much every situation that you can think of. So let's see what we can do to fit everything inside a small backpack. But before we can get started with packing all our stuff, we first need to book a flight. And I don't want to go into too much details here about booking cheap flights. But what I can say, especially if you're from Europe, is that you might want to add a full-size carry-on bag. Because if you happen to buy a cheap flight and have a super cheap flight fare, the chances are good that extra luggage, for example drop-off bags, are really expensive and sometimes can double or even triple the price of your ticket. However, most airlines give you the opportunity to buy an extra carry-on, so that you don't have only a small backpack, but instead you can bring your small backpack and in addition to that a full-size carry-on bag. And this is oftentimes much cheaper than a drop-off bag. And I think if your trip is not longer than, say, for example, 5 or 6 days, with these two things you can fit pretty much everything that you need. I mean, it depends a little bit on where you are going. For example, when you're going to a location that is really cold, you need to bring a lot of clothes. And if you're going to a beach location, whatever, you don't need to bring any thick clothes or something like that. So it depends a little bit, but I think generally speaking, you can definitely fit a lot of stuff inside these two bags, and you get it quite cheap. So let's start with the first and I think most important thing for every photographer. I'm not talking about the camera, because that is pretty obvious that you need a camera buddy, but I talk about lenses. And when it comes to lenses, most photography enthusiasts, they most of the time have a pretty great selection of lenses, but lenses are quite heavy and big, and they can fill up the space in your backpack really fast when you try to bring everything that you have. So the idea now is to reducing the amount of lenses and the size of the lenses that you bring. And this obviously depends on what you want to shoot and what you want to photograph. But for example, when it comes to nature and landscape photography, I have two lenses that I always bring. The first and arguably most important lens for nearly every photographer is a standard zoom lens. Like this one here, for example. This is just an example lens. It's an 28 to 75 millimeter standard zoom lens. You can bring a 24 to 70, for example, as well. It really doesn't matter, but I think everyone needs a lens like this if you want to go out in nature and shoot photos and maybe even videos there. So you need to bring one of these. The other lens I always bring is a zoom lens, a telezoom lens, like for example this one. It has a pretty standard range of 70 to 200 millimeters and it has an f4 aperture. And this is the next important point, because for example, this lens is available with a 2.8 aperture as well. But there are two drawbacks to the f2.8 lens. First one, it is really expensive. It costs you double as much as the f4. And second one, it is much bigger and much heavier. So I go with this lens when I'm outside, and like for 99% of things, f4 or even above that in nature landscape photography, you most of the time go with f8 or even beyond that. You will not need the f2.8 aperture. So this is where you can save a lot of weight and subsequently also money, if you want to call it like this. So what I say now might be a little bit controversial, because what I would suggest to avoid when going on really weight restricted vacations or photography trips is bringing prime lenses. And I know prime lenses are great. Everyone loves prime lenses. I love them as well. They have great value for money. They have amazing sharpness, amazing image quality. They have a huge aperture most of the time, for example at f1.4, even f1.2s, but they are not really flexible. Out there in the fields, they are not so flexible. They are, for example, great if you want to do a portrait shoot, but for nature photography, I would leave them at home when I am restricted to the luggage and weight size. So in this case, I would suggest going with zoom lenses, like for example the one that I presented to you. What is also a great choice is to bring, for example, a 24 to 105 millimeter lens. And these lenses, for example, come with an f4 aperture. You can buy one from Sony G Master series, and they have great image quality, and you can go with one single lens for a whole trip, because 24 to 105 millimeters, the range is pretty big and will cover most of the things that, for example, I photograph on a daily basis. So let's get to the next point now, and I am talking about tripods. So tripods are super important for basically every landscape photographer, I believe, because, you know, we always love to do this long exposures of water, of clouds even, you know, get the beautiful effects from long time exposures. So tripods are super important. And for a tripod, normally it's very important to be pretty sturdy and support the weight of your camera. So yeah, this is generally speaking obviously true. But when it comes to traveling, I would suggest you might want to go with a lighter type of tripod. For example, a travel tripod or travel optimized tripod. For example, this one. This is, yeah, pretty compact, as you can see. It is, yeah, pretty small and light, and it goes around up to the waist height level, so it is not super high up, not as high as, for example, my main tripod that I use, but it is like only half or even a third of the size and of the weight. So yeah, this is obviously a pretty good choice when I'm restricted to weight and size. And again, this is something that you obviously have to decide for yourself what you need. But for me, going up to waist height is better than have nothing. And yeah, this is a great choice for me. But as I said, you can decide this for yourself if you want to bring a bigger tripod. Next up, we have unnecessary accessories. So when I talk about accessories, I'm talking about hard drives, I'm talking about batteries. And when I talk about this stuff, bringing batteries and hard drives is obviously really important, and you should not skip this. But you can do it in a smarter way, I believe. Because, for example, a battery for my drone, which I always bring, I always love to have my drone with me, but it looks like this. And this is not so big, but if you bring, for example, 3 of them, it will also add up and yeah, gives a lot of volume and a lot of weight to your bag. So when I'm restricted, I normally go with 2 batteries for my drone. One is inside the drone and the second one, a spare battery, I bring in addition to that. This is enough for basically 99.9% of everything I've ever done with my drone. And I have another spare battery laying around here, but most of the time I just don't need it. And as I said, all the small things, they add up in the end, and you will save a lot of weight when you, yeah, pack these things smartly and yeah, let the things at home that you don't really need. Another great example for that would be, yeah, color filters. They can give you pretty cool effects sometimes, but yeah, most of the time, honestly, I don't use them, I don't need them. So yeah, I don't bring them, I just bring normal ND filters. A variety of them, for example 3 different ND filters, only one size. I bring only the huge 82mm size, and then I have adapter rings to fit to every one of my lenses, so I don't need to bring too much different ND filters. So yeah, this is also, I think, a pretty good idea. So all of the small things that you can leave alone, as I said, they add up. And now I want to show you how I pack my bag actually and what I bring. And as you can see, it is a lot, honestly. So what I tend to do when packing up the stuff is, yeah, removing some of, yeah, these dividers that comes with basically every photography backpack. You know, these foam dividers, they are great. You can place a lot of them inside your bag and you can organize all your stuff pretty good. But again, they add up in volume and I don't really want this. I want to obviously protect my stuff and transport it safely. But I think if you remove some of them, it will not hurt anybody and it will not hurt your gear. So this is also, yeah, a way to give you a little bit more space inside a restricted backpack. So what you can see, I put obviously my laptop, I put my camera, my drone and my lenses. These are the most important things that I pack. But now for the accessories. For example, what you can see here is I have this SD card holder where I have all my SD cards. Then I bring an additional hard drive, as you can see here. So this is an external SSD hard drive. And the next thing that I always bring is a power bank, and the power bank is super important, I believe, because, you know, I can charge up basically everything I have. I have my batteries for my camera, which are directly chargeable via USB Type-C from my power bank. The same goes for the drone. I can charge the drone batteries via USB Type-C as well while I'm on the go, so I never need to worry about running out of energy. Another super important piece of equipment are the ND filters, as I just said. You can see I have ND filters for my drone here, but they are pretty tightly packed up here. And I also have the ND filters for my camera, and as I just said, I only bring 3 different ND filters: an ND8, ND100 and an ND1000 filter. And I also bring a polarization filter. I love polarization filters, so yeah, always recommend buying one of them and giving that a try. And so one more important piece of equipment that I always bring along is my 120 watt charger, and that is the only charger that I need, so I can charge everything with that. It is a little bit bulky, but for example, if I had to bring an additional charger for my camera, for my phone and for my laptop, I had 3 different chargers, and this 120 watt charger, it charges up everything. So I don't need to worry about anything as well. I just need to bring this and a USB Type-C cable, and I can charge everything that I have: my laptop, my phone, my camera, my drone, everything. So this is also pretty good. And another tip on how you can save a little bit of weight. So this brings us already to the end of this video again. And yeah, I have plenty of other videos over on my YouTube channel as well on photography, on different photography topics. So yeah, feel free to check them out. Feel free to leave a like or a comment, maybe even a subscribe for the channel here. That would be amazing. I hope you enjoyed this video, but for now, I wish you a great day, a great week, and I hope I see you in next week's video. So see you then, and goodbye.